It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Monday? We do. You do. From the Dixieline Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, coming off a great sports weekend, we welcome you to our Monday bonus podcast, Hacksaw's Headlines. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host from left field with his opinions, John Riley, and we welcome you to our Monday bonus podcast. Podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers. Lots of locations to serve you. Got projects, they've got materials. Want ideas, they can be your best friend. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, this is the go-to place, too, for tools, Dixieline Lumber. John Riley, good afternoon. Man, there's a lot to talk about. We're going to go right across the spectrum of everything in the world of sports. What a weekend.
Yeah, WBC Championship Week, a lot to talk about.
AKA March Madness,
all
etc. And listen, when we're done, because we do this podcast with only one rule, hot topics, opinions, we do sports talk the way it should be done, and then you get the invite to take over the podcast. It's called Fans Forum. For those of you who are joining us on live stream, have never participated, we're urging you, jump on board because your opinion is important. How do people join us on Fans Forum?
You're great. I mean, this is great. Okay, so hey, if you have a comment or question for Hacksaw in the world of sports, pick a topic, pick up the phone. No, don't pick up your phone. Just type in the live chat. Actually, you're probably doing it on a phone right now. So go look in your live chat on X, on YouTube, on Facebook for your question or comment in the world of sports, and we'll get to you in Fans Forum after Hacksaw's Headlines.
Yeah, Fans Forum will be coming up. A couple of other notes. I write about sports every minute, every day of the week. It's on my website. The address is right there on the top of the screen, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. That's my website. And right there, if you punch that up, you'll be able to read the best 15 minutes in sports. I put that up there every morning. The One Man's Opinion column. I write a column every day about something in the world of sports. And when you go to the website, you can register to join Hacksaw's Insiders Group. Just fill out the orange box, put your name in there with the email address, because John and I started sending out newsletters. We send out 2 newsletters every day to people that subscribe on the Insiders Group, and it's absolutely free. So we want you to not only watch the podcast, read what I write on the website, get the newsletters too. Also, share, subscribe. Share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Subscribe. When you subscribe, you will get notification every time we put additional videos up on the YouTube channel. We put up about 7 to 10 videos every week in addition to the podcast. So share and subscribe. And you can make us help this thing grow. Give us a thumbs up. Find it. Hit the follow button. And give us a 5-star rating. It really helps us a great deal. Have I covered it all?
You know, we don't do 7 to 10 extra videos. We do like 25 to 30 extra videos every week.
Well, I put up 7 to 10 videos. This guy is in the laboratory editing nonstop every minute of every day. But sample what we put up on the YouTube channel, and when you subscribe, therefore you will get the alerts. Okay, John, I'm ready. You're ready. Man, we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about the Aztecs. Tough season, tough way to end.
2 different sets of emotions. Really disappointed for the community. Really disappointed for the team. The program has just reached an excellent height of consistency. Big disappointment, they don't get invited to March Madness. Kind of peeved at all the other conferences that got 10th and 11th place teams in, but the second team in the Mountain West, which has a tremendous history and tradition, did not get even a look-see because they didn't win the Mountain West Conference Championship. And this was a really good conference. How in the world could the committee not see how many good teams there were that took turns knocking each other out during the course of the season? Very disappointed. Aztecs didn't get in. Very disappointed. Mountain West was just one team getting into the tournament. Now, I'm also going to use the emotion on the other street corner. Respect. Let's understand the job that that guy, Brian Dutcher, has done. Let's understand the fact that this isn't Laramie. This isn't Logan. This isn't Albuquerque. This isn't Fort Collins, where historically coaches have done well and jumped ship and run off for a big payday. This guy's been here 23 years. He recruits good kids. He teaches them. He coaches them up. We have success on the program. It's about team, not me. Does not have a lot of academic casualties. Does not have a lot of off-the-floor crap. This is a really special guy that's been here 23 years. So appreciate the man, his values, and his ability. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great person. So I salute Brian Dutcher, even though this is a bit of a downer. Let's talk about the Aztecs team itself. I made notes during the course of the season. This was really a streaky season. End of the day, they were 4-11 against good teams on their schedule. Despite their tournament history, they wouldn't get a chance. Tough schedule didn't impress anybody along the way. Too many quad one, quad two setbacks. And during the course of the Mountain West Conference tournament in 3 games in 3 days, I made notations to myself. This is a war zone. This is relentless defense. This is pound the paint. This is a ton of contact. This is a team that has no quit despite adversity. All things about San Diego State. Now, they beat New Mexico. It was a hell of a game. They made Jake Hall, their star three-point shooter, disappear. He was 1 for 10. Tomislav Bujan, 3 for 9 shooting. Of course, Lobos missed 13 free throws along the way. The Utah State game, backbreaking. They were in that game, actually had a 50-49 lead. The backbreaking 5-point play with the video replay.
That was a bad call.
Really set them back. Well, timing was everything, and I could understand why they viewed it the way they viewed it based on what the ref called. And they ran out of gas. After that, Aggies ran off a 15-8 run. San Diego State just had 12 points in the final 10 minutes of the game, so Utah State had a lot to do with that comeback win. Ran out of gas. But I'll tell you, what a two-night performance by Magoon Gwath. Reese Waters wraps up his career with, give me the ball, let me score points. He played very well. And they played 2 games in 15 hours time span, John, shorthanded. In the big picture, it's a really good program with a really good leader and a coach. This was just a one-off bit down of a year. Turned down the NIT bid. They have so many players banged up. I just think they're emotionally drained, and they would not be able to play any home games at Viejas because of other scheduling for the NCAA tournament. So I felt bad for San Diego State, but this is the end result of just kind of an odd year. And we've hardly ever seen that since Brian Dutcher took over. Feeling bad? How about the Lady Aztecs? How could you go 19-1 in your own conference? How could you be 25-5 and never get any votes at all in the AP women's poll and then not get invited to the tournament? That to me is absolutely stunning. They're going to the women's NIT. We'll see if they run the table if they win that. Your comment on Dutcher, the dudes, your comment on the Lady Aztecs.
Well, how about let's congratulate the Lady Tritons. Yeah, they're making March Madness. I think they're the only team that's made the big tournament here in San Diego.
Exactly.
So you got to give them props. But yeah, that was a disappointment. You know, you knew it was going to be a tough game. And the Aztecs are good at throwing punches, figuratively speaking, but Utah State punches right back, man. I mean, their defense was ferocious. This whole season, it just seemed like the Aztecs offensively were fine. I mean, rarely did they have a really down game. They were always scoring well over 70, it seemed.
Yeah, but their three-point shooting was a miss a lot of the year.
Yeah, it was hit and miss. I'll give you that. But, it was the defense that broke down. I mean, the defense wasn't holding these teams. I mean, they gave up 2 games over 100 points.
Yeah, the perimeter defense was lacking, and there were nights that the rebounding was MIA.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of a one-off, but, the landscape is changing in the world of college sports. And, there's a lot of these rumors about these guys are entering the transfer portal. And, I mean, how do you build chemistry? How do you build culture when you've got mercenaries coming and going? I think the future for basketball in general and Aztec specifically is kind of a little bit gray.
Well, I think it's gray right now, and we'll just see if there can be more money raised in NIL or whether the charisma and the leadership and the track record and the history of Dutcher gets these kids to stay. You know, outside of a payday going to a strange place, why would you want to leave here? You got tradition, you got history, you got credibility with a coach. Why would you go to a strange place aside from a payday? And does that always work out? No.
No, it doesn't. But, you know, a lot of these guys aren't going to make the NBA. So this is their one time to kind of cash in. You can't blame them for taking the money. You know, it just creates a different set of circumstances here. But, you know, again, anyways, go back to the players, you know, Miles Hyde. I mean, overall, we had very high expectations, right?
Yes.
Miles Hyde had the injury there at the end. Miles Bird was been inconsistent, but still defensive player of the year. Pharaoh Compton showed us some stuff. So did Taj DeGorville. BJ Davis sometimes can make the most spectacular plays and then sometimes the dumbest plays. But thank God that ratio is pretty skewed. You know, it's 20 great ones for every one dumb one. But overall, I mean, Reese Dixon Waters just seemed like almost like a father figure amongst the boys on the team.
I think he grew into being a veteran player.
Yeah.
And again, he sat out last year and he's back as the 6th-year guy. He looked very different, very much more mature, leadership, responsible.
Yeah, and just the way he plays the game, it's like a whole different level. So, and then Magoon Gwath, he was a lot better like these last few games when he's been healthy. So you've been talking about that. The problem with Gwath was his injuries.
Yeah. You know, I have a hard time wrapping my arms around some of the choices that were made. I mean, here's SMU getting in the play-in game. They're in 11th place in their conference. They were 8-10 in their conference, and they got into the tournament. What?
They're not even a Power 5 school.
Yeah. Well, they're in the ACC.
Oh, ACC? Really?
Yes.
Why didn't I know that? Okay.
North Carolina State, they lost 7 of their last 9. Texas lost 5 of its last 6. Yeah. And they both got in as play-in games. I don't have any beef with Miami of Ohio. That's 31-1. That's earned. But San Diego State, if they played SMU, they'd probably beat them.
They probably would. I mean, San Diego State dug their own grave, losing to Troy State, and you know,
Troy's in the tournament too, and won its own conference.
Yeah, but see, again, this goes back to the whole bias against big boys against the little kids at the JV table on the JV team. I mean, this was definitely a 2-tier structure here, and so you know, we talked about this before with Miami of Ohio. Like, as a fan, do you want to see a Miami of Ohio or some other, you know, surprise team, or do you want to see
SMU?
Exactly. Just some middle of the road SEC team.
Mountain West Conference, 7 teams had 20 wins or more this year. 7. And only one got in the tournament.
That's hard to believe because there's so much parity, you know, but in this league, but it is usually we have a lot more teams that are hitting in the mid-20s, right? And a lot that are in the low teens, but not this year.
So I'm disappointed for San Diego State. You're a fan, you're a friend, you're an alum. Want to hear what you've got to say? Fans Forum chat box is open. Hit a 3-point shot. Give us an opinion. Is this a one-off, or do you think the landscape has changed and maybe the Aztecs might not be able to be what they used to be just because everything around them has changed? You're invited to participate. We go from that. Let's talk about the field of 68.
Yeah, here we got the number 1 seeds. They've been dominant this year, Lee.
I'll tell you what. I don't see a big difference between 1 and 6 in the AP poll. Not a big difference at all. They all got great talent. You got Duke with Boozer. You got Michigan with the 7-footer. You got Arizona, which has been doing it without Koa Pete. If he can come back and be 100%, and you got Florida, the defending champion. And the 2 seeds are UConn, Purdue, Iowa State, and all things Houston Cougars. I mean, the 1 and 2 seeds in the regions are just phenomenal. Final 4 comes out of that whole mix. And the East bracket, you think there's a few madmen on the bench on the East bracket? Firebrand coaches like Hurley, Cronin, Pitino, Izzo, Self, they're all in the East Regional.
That's interesting.
Amazing. The Midwest Regional, led by Michigan, I tend to think is probably the easiest regional. And the West Regional with Arizona, that's a hard bracket. There's a lot of firepower in the West Regional. San Diego, Viejas Arena is going to host games this weekend. Boy, did they hit it. If you like college basketball, guess who's coming here? St. John's, Kansas. Arizona, Villanova, and Utah State. There's going to be some really good games this weekend at Viejas Arena. In terms of first-round games, are there upsets out there? Well, I tried to go through them. There's a lot of big boy playing the little guy. Troy State's going to play Nebraska. That will be an interesting matchup because Troy State can score. St. Mary's, which got a lot of talent under Randy Bennett, goes against Texas A&M. Upstart St. Louis Billikens. Who? St. Louis plays Georgia. Utah State, Villanova, first-round matchup. Good game. Santa Clara. How about those Broncos? They got a lot of firepower. They're going to play Kentucky, which got a lot of injury problems. And Akron. Who? The Akron Zips against Texas Tech. And Miami of Ohio gets to play in a play-in game in Dayton, right next door to the campus in Oxford, Ohio. That's going to be a madhouse worth watching. It's too bad injuries are going to play into this. Kentucky's got all kinds of injury problems. Texas Tech's got injury problems. North Carolina has lost Caleb Wilson. Texas Tech does not have JT Topping, one of the best big power guys in the whole country. Duke has got injuries. Gonzaga's had injuries all season, even though they finished at 30-3. So injuries are in the rotation. So that's just an overview of the brackets. What do you think? You kind of agree with me, 1 through 6 in the poll. Any one of these guys could win this thing?
Oh, yeah. It's like this every year. This is the most wonderful time of the year. I mean, I love this tournament so much. And, yeah, you got the number 1 seeds, and they're usually 2 of them are going to make the Final Four. You're just about every year. I mean, but in the first couple of rounds, it's fun to see.
Shockers.
Yeah, and yet, like, St. Louis has got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Have you seen that guy?
Yeah.
I mean, the dude's got some behind-the-back moves, passes, gets other guys involved, and he looks like he should be like an accountant somewhere.
Big, slow, and white.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's just a lot of, interesting personalities, and we're going to kind of get to meet them. And, and you just like seeing these fan bases get fired up, and it's just a great time of the year.
Yep.
So I'm all in. I mean, I'm rooting for the West Coast teams. This is interesting. The West Coast Conference gets 3 teams in. I mean, when is the last time that's happened?
How's that possible? Well, that's because Gonzaga is part of the equation.
Yeah. So this is terrific. And UCLA got in too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think those are the West Coast teams: UCLA, Santa Clara, St. Mary's, Gonzaga, plus the Mountain teams, right?
Utah State.
Yeah, Utah State and Arizona.
So that's where we are. March Madness, you get an opinion. Big boys versus the little guys, and not many little guys in here. We'll see if the Prairie Views of the world can pull off an upset in the first round in the play-in games. First round this weekend. Let's talk college basketball. Feel free to jump on board. When we go from that, let's talk all things NBA.
Yeah, Luka, Kawhi, and Bam.
Yeah, let's talk about what's going on with the Lakers and the Clippers, and then in Miami. Boy, Luka Doncic is on a scoring surge. I mean, he scored 51 the other night. He's making all types of clutch shots. Lakers have now reeled off 3 straight wins against teams that have more than 40 victories this year. 3 straight. The Lakers are in 3rd place in the West now.
Third
place in the Western Conference.
What the hell? Wow.
Yeah, 45-24, I believe the record is. J.J. Redick confirming that he met with LeBron James as LeBron was coming off the injured list again and convinced LeBron to accept a complimentary role player. And LeBron, whether he's in the starting lineup or whether he's first guy off the bench, is going to take on a bit of a different role because the offense now is really rolling through Luka, through Austin Reeves at this point in time. Clippers, this is a bad story. I don't know where this is going, but there is a report on the East Coast that when the NBA is done with the investigation of the LA Clippers, they're going to strip the Clippers of 3 number 1 picks, void Kawhi Leonard's contract, make him a free agent without the ability to re-sign with the Clippers, and fine Steve Ballmer $30 million. That's one of the reports. There's evidently additional evidence this Washington law firm has uncovered about correspondence between the Clippers. There's a whistleblower. That's what has brought all this new stuff to the front. There's a whistleblower who has turned that company in, saying that this was going on behind the scenes. So this I don't know what the future of the Clippers will be once the season is over. I don't know what Kawhi's future is going to be. But the Clippers are playing really good basketball for a team that started 6-21. Now Kawhi is out. Kawhi has sprained his ankle. He's averaging 28 points again. It's the best season of his career statistically. And he's kind of dragged the Clippers kicking and screaming into the playoff race, but now he's hurt. And the other topic is Miami. Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra spoke up over the weekend. We are not apologizing for anything that happened in that game in which Bam Adebayo scored 83 points. He deserved it. He earned it. Well, those are the only two guys speaking out on behalf of Bam, because most everybody around the NBA thinks that that was rigged. That here they are feeding Bam on every trip down the floor. Here the Heat are taking fouls intentionally early in the shot clock when they're leading by 28 points so they can get another possession to feed Bam the ball again. This is kind of ticky-tack. So anyhow, you want to comment on LeBron? The NBA, now with a whistleblower evidently showing up on this Kawhi Leonard contract? And how about the Miami Heat stance?
This is interesting topics. I mean, number one, we've always debated whether LeBron is a positive or a negative, right, to the team. And I think we're learning. I mean, I think he's obviously a great player. You've always defended him statistically, but it's just the chemistry ain't right. So now he's going to be a wingman for Luka. And I think that's great. I mean, I think that's how it should be. And if they've got it, if it's cooking, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So good on them. The Clippers thing, that seems extremely heavy-handed of a penalty. And I get it. If you're circumventing the salary cap, you need to have more than a slap on the wrist, but that's a lot. And I kind of wonder, is Kawhi like really playing hard this year just to kind of prove his worth, knowing that he's going to be a free agent and they're going to be questioning his value?
You could probably connect those dots on that. He's playing hard and he's not had any real bad setbacks with the knee, which really amazed me because he had always been on a minutes limit each of the last 2 or 3 years. Low, as you would, your favorite term, load management.
Yeah, he just always seems like, you're carrying around like a dozen eggs, with him.
Fragile.
Very fragile. And the whole Bam Adebayo thing, I mean, people are always going to complain about something. If usually they say in basketball is feed the guy with the hot hand. I mean, he had the hot hand that night. And that's ticky-tack trying to say this is bad sport. But it was kind of bad sportsmanship. But I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. He got the record. Just turn the page, move on.
Okay, one other item before we move from the NBA. This just surfaced this morning. Guess who is going to become an investor in one of the groups bidding on the Las Vegas expansion franchise for the NBA? Magic. Magic will divest himself from the Lakers. Magic is proposing to be part of a consortium to bid on an NBA expansion team, and the NBA Board of Governors is going to talk about and maybe take a vote later this week on actually starting the process for the 2 expansion teams from maybe 2028, one in Vegas, one in Seattle. Magic might be part of the consortium to get the Vegas team.
Interesting. Is that sacrilege to Laker fans? I kind of wonder. What's it? Sheldon Adelson's wife going to be in on that one too? And she's something. She's a character.
Yeah.
We won't go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Magic. I mean, he's had this really great like post NBA career, and he's showing it. He's like a major executive doing the big deals. What a role model for America.
Yeah. So that's the latest story there. One other basketball topic. We're on the clock. Next one, WNBA.
Oh, yeah. These guys are under fire.
Boy, this is an amazing story. This thing has dragged on, and they are now on the clock. I mean, their season is supposed to start the first week of May. They have not held their college draft. They have not allowed free agency, etc. The WNBA and the union met for 5 straight nights in a row, more than 40 hours of negotiations, including one 12-hour session that went to 5:30 in the morning. But they are continuing to struggle about the cut of gross revenue that the players' union should get. Ownership of the WNBA has offered them 15% of the gross revenue. The union says that's not acceptable. They want 24% of net revenue after expenses. And the owners say no. Now, the owners have given in on a lot of other things. The cap was $1.2 million. They're going to bump it to $6.5 million. The max Max salary used to be $400,000. Now you can have 2 players at $1.2 million each. So WNBA is giving in on that. They're still arguing about a housing fee because the league has always helped the players with a housing fee in every contract in season. But they are so far apart in the percentage of either gross revenue or net revenue. And they've gone past the deadline and they continue to meet. But there's no progress on the one big issue. Now they've given them a lot of money already. What do you think the players should do? Accept what they have and just move on? Because those are big pay bumps. I mean, for the cap to go from 1.2 to 6.5 is amazing, and from the max salary from $400,000 for a superstar to 1.2 million, and you can have 2 of them.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good bump.
It is a big bump, but it's interesting. You're talking about what percentage of revenue do the players get? But it's hard to compare that. It sounds like really low. What did you say? It was 15%, and they wanted 24%?
Yes.
And that sounds crazy low compared to other sports, but because it's a new sport, the revenues are a lot less than men's sports. The fixed costs don't change a whole lot, so the proportions don't change. So I think this is just an indication of they're in this transition era. The Caitlin Clark, the blowing up the Indiana, Fever, bringing these huge crowds. I mean, is this sustainable? I think there's some question marks. And the women have no other option. There's no competitive league to go to. So at some point, they're going to have to just say, all right.
They haven't said all right yet, although the fact that they're still meeting, they've had 5 straight meetings. They start meeting at 5:30 every night, and they just gone nonstop in New York. So,
well, that's good. They're talking.
They're on the clock, though. I mean, the season is right there in front of them in the headlights, and they still have so many other things they have to solve in terms of the college draft and free agency before the camps open.
Yeah, big to-do list.
There's been no off season for the WNBA. So you're into basketball? We put some topics on the table for you to discuss. We go from that because we are baseball centric. Let's talk Padres.
Talking Padres, got a pitching update, Lee.
We got 2 weeks to go, and we got issues all over the parking lot right now as it relates to the Padres. The ace of the staff, Nick Pivetta, 56-pitch spring training outing was pretty decent. This after the 10-day layoff because of the arm fatigue. He says he feels okay. Now, his ERA in the spring is 7.88. They're going to handle his between starts a little bit differently to make sure the shoulder fatigue does not come back. He's a warrior. He wants the ball. He's going to give you what he's got. Padres are going to try to handle his workout regimen between starts so this doesn't happen again. Michael King has looked really dominant for 3 innings in each of his last 2 starts, but beyond that, not at all. He self-destructed. His last start in the 4th inning, he gave up 3 home runs on 3 pitches in a row, gave up 6 straight base hits. His ERA is 9.95. My only alarm point here with Michael King is, as the season starts, you can't have a starting pitcher that can only go 3 innings, and you only got 2 weeks left, so you're not going to be able to build them up even more. So concern there. Randy Vasquez, 3 no-hit innings in his last start. He has been brilliant. His 4th inning, he blew up in his face. He wound up throwing 62 pitches, but he's ready to be. I'd elevate him into the number 2 starting job. King would be my number 3 guy. Joe Musgrove has got a setback. The Padres today are putting him on the disabled list. He's out. He's out till maybe late April, maybe May. A setback. It might be a minor setback. We don't really know. He's not thrown since March 6th because of discomfort in the elbow area. That's got to be of concern. Yes, you can rationalize it. All pitchers have setbacks. He's done everything he could humanly do in the protocols, building back up. And his first outing, he was decent. He threw 60 pitches, has not touched a baseball in a bullpen since March 6th. So this is a significant setback because now, if he's in shutdown mode, it's going to take longer and longer for him to ramp back up. So March turns to April, you're trying to ramp him up. That turns to May, and you hope there's no more setbacks. So that's the latest on Joe Musgrove. We just have to be patient with him. Walker Buehler's been scrappy. but he's not been able to find his velocity. His ERA is 5.40. German Marquez, no control at all. Just god-awful outing again. His ERA is 12.14. I think he has to go to El Paso and just find everything that needs to be discovered to get back to be the pitcher he was. Tristan McKenzie, he's got velocity, but he keeps walking people. You can't trust him. He goes to El Paso, 9.95. Marco Gonzalez, it's turned out to be disaster. They tried, they've guessed, it hasn't worked. Last outing, 2 innings, 11 runs, 14 base runners. He's going to have to go to El Paso. So the problem I have now is they don't have 5 starting pitchers they can trust. Are they going to maybe bring Kyle Hart out of the bullpen back into the rotation?
Yes.
JP Sears has a high ERA. You're going to trust him. Maybe you're going to have to put him in the rotation. But they had all these pitchers they brought to camp, everybody they signed in the offseason, and all these guys have had setbacks or broken down again, obviously led by what's happened with Joe Musgrove. So we're 2 weeks away from the start of the season. I'm sorry, John. They don't have enough starting pitching for a 162-game schedule.
No, but usually there's a few more off days in April, isn't there? So maybe you can get away with a 4-man for a little bit, or I don't know how they're going to do it, but this is sort of kind of going the way that I expected. I didn't expect Musgrove to be opening day, just throwing flames.
No, I thought he had hoped he'd be opening week in the rotation. This is a setback.
But that's like a best case scenario,
Exactly.
really. So all these things, that doesn't surprise me. The Pivetta thing's a little bit weird, but like you said, he was better last time. Vasquez has been a nice surprise. I think, Kyle Hart is someone you might have to think about. You still have Gillespie, you still have Sears. So there's some guys that you can move around until this ramps up. But my guess is that almost every major league team's going through some version of this. So
not to this degree.
Well, yeah, but then you think, okay, how can like Michael King, for example, throw 3 shutout innings, look terrific, and all of a sudden blow up in the 4th? I mean, do you think maybe his first few innings he was proving, okay, this is who I am. I can get these guys out. And that 4th inning, I'm going to kind of work on that knuckle curve a little bit.
Well, there's a wear out factor too.
Yeah.
But then again, if he's one of your frontline guys and we're this late in the spring and he's only got 3 innings in him, that's not enough bullets in the gun.
Yeah, we'll just pitch Mason Miller, I don't know, like 8 innings a game.
No. And Griff Canning won't be ready till May or June. He's yet to throw in a game. There is good news. Jason Adams can throw tomorrow in an exhibition game, and he's been lights out so far.
That's good to see.
So, but at the end of the day, we're sitting here this deep into the Cactus League. They don't have enough trustworthy starting
There's
pitching.
Still some arms floating around, like Lucas Giolito, and Padre Twitter is all excited about him, like in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, career ERA 4.50.
Yeah, I mean, at some
the
point,
last man standing.
You just need like someone just to get you some innings.
Yeah, I am pleased with Ty France. He's hitting 333. Andujar's hitting 294. Bryce Johnson being pushed for that 4th outfield job is hitting 289. Castellanos not hitting a lot. A little bit concerned about Gavin Sheets. He's hitting 224.
Yeah,
I expected more at this point because the first base job is his. So that's where we are. All things Padres. You're a Padres fan. We're 2 weeks out. They don't have enough starting pitching, and the lottery tickets that AJ Preller bought at this point don't look like he can cash in.
Yeah, that's why you buy a lot of tickets. So you hope one does.
Okay, that's the Padre update. Let's talk Dodger and Angel baseball.
Yeah, here we go. Who's hot and who's not?
Let's talk about the Dodgers. Blake Snell, 15 pitches, soft toss off the mound. He's begun the process of coming back. That's got to be followed by more mound work. Then it'll be followed by batting practice. Then he'll be left behind, I think, at Camelback Ranch. He starts the season on the disabled list. Yash Yamamoto is back from the World Baseball Classic. He's going to make one more start. He'll be ready for opening day. Ohtani is back. He's going to start taking all DH hits beginning tomorrow. They think he'll DH in Cactus League games. He did throw a 54-pitch bullpen session with Team Japan at the WBC and looked electric. They're going to try to decide shortly whether or not he actually makes a Cactus League start before they break camp over in Arizona. Hyesung Kim, the young infielder, is back. Diaz is back. So they've got everybody from the WBC back in camp. So now we'll find out, does Ohtani pitch in a Cactus League game as a starter? Final appearance before the regular season. He will be in the rotation on opening day. Kyle Tucker is hitting .231. This deep in the Cactus League, I would have expected a little bit more. And a young kid, the infielder that they really like, Alex Freeland, is hitting .107. Jeez. So, but the rest of the team, I mean, they're 16-7 in the Cactus League. Pretty good. So that's the latest there. In terms of the Angels, they don't need to lose anybody. Now Zach Neto's hurt. Sprained his hand, head first slide at home plate. Sprained his left hand. I don't think he's going on the DL, but he's obviously going to miss some games here at the end of spring training. They tried so hard to find pitching, find bullpen help. Drew Pomerantz's ERA is 13.50. He can't get guys out. And Robert Stevenson, who's had elbow surgery, has re-injured the elbow. He's gone back to see a second specialist. He may be done. Period, exclamation point. And the battle for second baseman, they sent the 2 second basemen that they thought were going to be in the lineup down to Salt Lake City. Christian Moore, the #1 draft pick, and Kylan Paris, both gone back to AAA. And Jameer Candelario, who's hit some home runs but not hitting batting average, he might wind up being their second baseman to start the season. Now, some guys are having good springs with the Halos. Adam Frazier, Royals, Padres, Pirates, he's hitting .368. Jorge Soler, .360. Joe Adell's hitting .333 this spring. And former Yankee infielder Osvaldo Peraza is hitting .351. Has been a surprise in spring training camp. But Mike Trout's hitting only .207. Moncada is hitting .077. Siri's hitting $148. Mancini's hitting .133, and Lowe is hitting .200. Outside of Trout, none of the other guys are going to be able to contribute and make any difference to the Angels. The Angels just look so short in terms of talent on their roster. So talk Dodgers, talk Angels.
Well, it's not all bad news with the Angels. I mean, you had like 4 guys that were hitting pretty well. But yeah, the rest of that ain't cutting it. I mean, that's not like a major league roster.
No.
It's just mind-boggling that the Angels are not a more successful franchise. I mean, I just don't understand it. But the Dodgers, everything kind of goes their way again, right? I mean, Blake Snell's coming back. Ohtani's looked electric in his bullpen session. The guys aren't with the WBC too long, and maybe except Will Smith. They're coming back early. They're all rolling back into Camelback Ranch. They're all ready for, the start of the season. It's Dodger blue baseball, baby. Everything goes their way.
Okay, Dodger Angel fans, got an opinion? Feel free. Jump on board. Want to hear what you've got to say. There will be no Blake Snell till May or maybe the 1st of June.
Not a problem.
But they got Ohtani, and they're going to have Yamamoto, etc. And they got Glass now, and Roki Sasaki's going to be given the ball again tomorrow. He's going to start the Tuesday Cactus League game just to see if he's making any progress at all mastering that third pitch. But they say he's going to be in the rotation, even if it's only with 2 pitches, which is kind of weird to me. We go from that to what happened in Sunday Night Baseball.
Oh, that was a hell of a game.
Oh,
pitcher's duel.
Just USA-Dominican Republic. Just phenomenal. Superhero versus Superman. Paul Skeens versus Tatis Machado, Vlad Guerrero, Soto. Team USA, of course, the batting order had Judge, Bregman, and Harper. Oh, the energy in the Miami Marlins park was amazing. It was just electric. They love baseball in South Florida. They don't love Marlins baseball because of the ownership and the cheap budget and all that. Latin fans have just made this tournament something really special. And it was power pitchers dominating power hitters. Skeens' ball movement was amazing. I mean, yeah, Junior Caminero hit the 1 home run. He choked off the rest of the batting order. Gunnar Henderson, Roman Anthony, solo home runs. Skeens was strong. How about the defensive plays by Aaron Judge?
Yeah.
Diving catch, gunning Tatis down on the big base paths. Julio Rodriguez over the fence, another home run robbing catch. And then Mason Miller was with his 101 fastball with the 9th inning save. Just amazing. Now, A lot of criticism about the last 2 strikeouts from Mason Miller. Soto was called out on 3rd strike. I went back and looked at that thing in slow motion. That pitch got to home plate at Soto's knee and then dropped. So that was a strike. Soto, you should have swung at the damn ball. It was right at your kneecap. I thought the next pitch, the next batter, Perdomo, that was definitely a ball. That was way off the plate, etc. Please explain to me why we don't have robo-ump ABS, automated balls and strikes, in the WBC.
Yeah, I mean, you think it'd be the same as the new rules in MLB.
Yeah, and it's installed in the stadium. Why don't you use it?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the perfect advertisement on why you need, robo-ump, and it was questionable. Yeah, that last pitch to Perdomo looked a little low in the zone, but there's a lot of debate now as how does ABS work? Is it really like a 3-dimensional figure that you just need to nick as the ball goes through, or are they put in the square in the front of the plate, the middle of the plate? And there's been some debate about that in the last 24 hours.
Because the ball has such bite on it, it can dip and move.
Yeah, exactly. But, just a couple of thoughts on the game. Okay, first of all, love the energy, love everything about this. I mean, I remember it was at the 2017 semi between these two teams, and it was fantastic at Petco Park. Now, why in the hell is Fernando Tatis stretching it out, going from first to third with 2 outs?
Against that guy, Judge.
So isn't the rule is you don't want to get thrown out at third base with one or don't want to make the first or the third out at third base.
Yeah, don't kill off the rally.
Yeah, so that was kind of a dumb move. I think maybe he's trying to fire up his team. I don't know, but it was definitely a pitcher's duel. I mean, I enjoy pitcher's duels, but I was disappointed it wasn't as much, home runs and bombs and bat flips. I wanted to see some more of that.
I was stunned that the Dominican bullpen held up against that Team USA batting order. They dominated them.
Yeah, they did. I mean, the bullpens for both teams were great. And it's fun learning about some of these players because some of those Dominican relievers I was not familiar with. And frankly, there are a couple of guys on the U.S. team that are young up-and-comers that I'm just learning about now.
Yeah.
But it's a great tournament. I guess we're going to have the other semi tonight, the final on Tuesday. So more of this. Change the all-star format. Bring it on, baby.
With the ABS.
Yes.
Yeah, Venezuela eliminated Japan. Acuna, Will Abreu, pretty good young Red Sox phenom. Monster home runs there. Japan kind of ran out of arms, and I thought lack of pitching was going to haunt Team Japan through the course of the tournament. They did not wind up getting deep into this tournament. So Team USA, they play Tuesday. Championship game is tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
So we got that. You saw it? You like it? You agree or disagree with the strike 3 calls at the end of the game? Soto quit crying, swung the damn pitch. The other one I thought was a ball. If that had been a ball, Tatis would have been the next guy up against Mason Miller.
Yeah, and I know that Craig Stammen was hoping to avoid that kind of a situation where they go after each other. But did you see the still photo of the ball crossing Perdomo's knees? It was like,
I thought it was low.
It was, yeah, but it was like the ball was sort of kind of nicking the kneecap. I mean, it was a lot closer. Sometimes I think that box they show on TV isn't a perfect reflection of where the real strike zone is.
It's probably as good as the technology as we have, and it's better than just the umpire sighting and seeing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, it's all things baseball. You got an opinion, feel free. We are baseball-centric on this podcast. Want to hear what you've got to say. We are at halftime. Podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers. We sales pitch you on all the different things Dixieline offers. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, and I know there's a lot of you guys that do stuff in your garage and in your basement, when it comes to tools and supplies and ideas, those are the people you should do business with. I invite you to go to Dixieline.com just to find out about the tool section. John, take it from here.
Yeah, I mean, they got all the major brands there for all the power tools, DeWalt, Milwaukee, Makita, all the big boys are there. They have these tool fairs that are really cool where you can show up where someone like DeWalt will bring out their truck with all the new products, the new demos, and you get to test drive them and try them out. And those are always really big events for Dixieline. If you go onto the Dixieline.com website, go look in the events page, which is accessible through the menu. You'll see when those tool fairs are. So You know what they do with some of these tool fairs is they'll have, what do they call those? Belt sander drag races. Have you ever seen that before? Where they set up these belt sanders, yeah, and then they've built Dixie-Line's done this, where they'll have these customized like drag strips made out of lumber. they run the belt sanders down the strip.
Amazing. Dixieline.com. You got projects, they got materials, you want ideas, they can help you. You home do-it-yourselfers, check them out. Dixieline.com. We are at halftime. Just a couple of reminders, because we do sports talk the way it should be done. Lots of topics, lots of opinions. When we're done telling you what we think, you tell us what you think or the questions you want answered. It's called Fans Forum. And again, for everybody who's new on the live stream, you can join us live in Fans Forum. John explained that. And then the other people that might be watching on a delayed basis, they can still get messages to us, ask questions, and we'll get their questions on the air too.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's piling in. Music to My Ears is in there, and he always donates money, so he always goes to the top of the list. But I see Derek and Do You Love It and Peck and Callan and Christopher and who else is in there? Mike and Epic and Batfan and Casey and Chris and Richard and Michael and Retro. I mean, I can keep going on and on. So we're going to get you all in the best we can in a Fans Forum at the conclusion of Hacksaw's Headlines. Type in your live question in the live stream comments in YouTube, X, and Facebook.
And a reminder, I write about sports every day of the week on my website. That's the address right on the top of the screen, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. If you like sports, you like my sports talk show, you'll like this. It's all written. The best 15 minutes in sports right there in front of you. You give me 5 minutes every morning, you'll know everything there is in the world of sports. Also have my One Man's Opinion column, which you got to read. I wrote about the Aztecs, basketball, the program, the health of the Mountain West Conference, etc. Read my One Man's Opinion column. Also, you can subscribe to get on our email list, because John and I send out 2 emails a day, morning and late afternoon. You can get that in your inbox. Just fill out the orange box right on the homepage. Become part of Hacksaw's Insiders Group. Want you to share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Subscribe. You will get the alert on YouTube every time we put additional videos up. We just pour out a lot of information, a lot of videos on our YouTube channel. You'll be able to get that. You can help us make this thing grow enormously by giving us a thumbs up, hit the follow button, or how do they do the 5-star rating?
That's Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcast. Hit the 5-star rating on Apple Podcast. It helps us grow enormously. I'm ready for the second half because we got more topics on the table to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to talk NFL free agents. You got your list here and ready to go.
Yeah, there's an awful lot going on in the NFL. Let's start with the Minnesota Vikings right there first at the top of the board. They have signed Kyler Murray. I told you on Thursday they were going to meet with him. I said, don't let that guy get back on the plane. They did not. He signs a 1-year contract with the potential for options after that. Kevin O'Connell takes him under his wing, and they'll try to polish him and make him a better quarterback. O'Connell has had a history of developing quarterbacks with the Minnesota Vikings. And for the first time, who's he throwing the ball to? Justin Jefferson and all these other accomplished wide receivers.
Wow.
He's got firepower people all around him. Now it'll be Kevin O'Connell's going to try to make him a different quarterback. Raiders, we're waiting for a determination. Is Kirk Cousins going to be the last addition to this offseason roster that would make them a finished product offensively? If they signed him, they gave him the keys to the car, holy cow, would they be really good offensively. Now they've got a superstar center. They're going to draft more people in the offensive front. You got 2 wide receivers, you got 2 star tight ends, and you got Ashton Genty. And if you got Kirk Cousins as a trigger man, he'll give them something they have not had in a long time. Really quality leadership at the quarterback position. Cincinnati, which has been historically cheap, goes into the marketplace trying to fix their defense. And they signed Jonathan Allen, big wide-body defensive tackle of Minnesota. And the kid that I like, Brian Cook, young safety, they signed him to a bit of a expensive contract to pry him out of Kansas City. He goes to the Bengals. 49ers shopping to fill in holes on their injured roster. They bring Nate Hobbs in, former starting cornerback in Green Bay and with the Raiders. He comes in. They re-signed Dre Greenwald, who had an injury-riddled season in Denver. They bring him back also. So, and they also make a deal. They make a trade to get a defensive tackle as part of the rotation of starters, a young guy, big athlete from the Dallas Cowboys. Washington, I think Washington's had a really good offseason. And now they add this guy. This guy's productive. Not a star, Van Jefferson. He's been all over the place, but catches. He got 50 balls last year. Washington signed him as a wide receiver. They signed one of Tampa Bay's 2 starting running backs, Rashad White, kid out of Arizona State. And, of course, prior to that, they signed 3 linebackers and a defensive end. Washington's been really, really active. In Philadelphia, this story is changing day by day. A.J. Brown is still a member of the Eagles. He may not be a member of the Eagles much longer. You know, the Eagles have talked about moving him to the Patriots, moving him to Tennessee. Now they're talking about possibly moving him to the Rams.
Wow.
Rams are evidently considering trading, I find this hard to believe, Devontae Adams and a number 2 to get A.J. Brown.
Interesting.
Now Philadelphia's got a cap problem. They're going to take a $43 million cap hit unless they can change the dynamics of A.J. Brown's contract. But the Rams are knocking at the door. And the only word I can use to describe the Rams is bold. They just have no fear of the salary cap, and they're all in to try to win right now. That what was behind the Trent McDuffie signing and the signing of the second cornerback out of Kansas City. They're talking to Philadelphia about A.J. Brown, so that's really interesting. And from the Chargers standpoint, I wish I had an explanation as to why Joe Ortiz has done business this way, because he had the second most cap space of anybody in the NFL. He lost Zion Johnson, the number 1 draft pick, the guard. He's gone. He lost the blitz linebacker, Odafe Owe. He just lost Jamari Salyer, who was a tackle guard, first guy off the bench, and I thought pretty credible as a utility guy. He's lost 2 defensive tackles. He just lost his safety, Ben St. Juste. There's a total of 10 guys gone from the Charger roster. And all they've done is add a defensive tackle, Dalvin Tomlinson, who got cut by Arizona. Has been with 4 different teams. Add a blocking tight end, a blocking fullback. They signed a running back who's got knee injuries. And they picked up an offensive guard who's the former number 1 pick who was a bust in New England. He bypassed everybody. He bypassed all the marquee offensive linemen that were there that he could have had, and he lost Zion Johnson on top of it. I mean, I know he had to sign a bunch of in-house free agents, but there was enough money to go get the right guy outside to plug in that'd be an instant starter and better than what you had in it. He did none of that. So I don't understand anything what they're doing. So, John, start at the bottom, work with the Chargers, then walk your way through the Rams-Eagles trade and go from there.
Well, the commentary from Charger fans online are similar to what you're saying. It's just, what the hell is going on with Joe Ortiz, and why aren't they going for these free agents? Could it be that Dean Spanos is saying, no, man, we don't want to spend the money? I mean, do you think that could be the thing?
You got this great quarterback. How many more years are going to go without making any movement to get yourself into the playoffs deep?
Yeah. That's a fair point.
To me, it's a big, big issue. And by the way, there was a trade I was going to mention just as we were coming on the air. The New York Jets traded Justin Fields.
Interesting.
Goes to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
To be the backup to Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
He's now on his 4th different club.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of where he's going to be, I think, the rest of the way.
Make him a tight end. He's such a great athlete. He's not a quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Be careful with that.
Yeah.
Converting black quarterbacks to receivers. And by the way, the Raiders, dare I say it, is there some credibility happening there? They're getting
if they get Kirk Cousins, it's not a done deal.
I mean, they could. They can make the playoffs with
hell yes.
I mean, because there's always been these question mark guys that are there, or question mark coaches, and now they're finally they're building this thing the right way.
Well, they signed 6 to play on defense in free agency that first day. They spent all that money, and now you add Kirk Cousins to that, and you're still going to have the 1st pick in the draft and the 36th pick in the draft.
That's good living.
Yeah. So we got that. What do you think about this? Be bold, Rams.
Oh, yeah, you got to applaud those guys. I mean, they're always going for it. They always seem to be 2 steps ahead of everyone else in the league. And you just contrast the Rams and the Chargers. It's night and day.
Yeah. A.J. Brown. Holy cow, what an acquisition that would be.
Oh, that'd be unbelievable. Yeah.
And Philadelphia wants to get rid of the attitude.
I was just keep thinking, I was thinking to myself, didn't Davante Adams play for the Eagles? But no, he was with the Packers.
Right.
It was just getting my green teams mixed up.
Yeah. And he's got time left on the clock, but the only way the Rams could make this work would I'll take that A.J. Brown contract. You got to take Davante Adams contract.
But Davante seemed really happy in L.A.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd be really pissed.
And productive.
Yeah. If he was moved to Philly, he probably wouldn't be happy.
Philly fans, they got to be going crazy. I mean, A.J. Brown, as big a diva as he is, that's a 1,000-yard receiver 4 years in a row. You ever trade him?
Yeah. You know, addition by subtraction. That's what's going on lately.
Yeah. What do you think about Kevin O'Connell, Kyler Murray?
You know, it's funny. There are a lot of memes going around online right now about how like short Kyler Murray is, you know, and they got him next to like Peter Dinklage, like from Game of Thrones. And it's funny. I think we're going to find out for real how good Kyler Murray is going to be. I mean, you could cast doubt on the Cardinals and questionable leadership, different coaches, all these different philosophies. Okay, now you got a great head coach. You got Justin Jefferson. You got a team that's capable of being in the playoffs. We're going to find out really how good he is. And I'm curious to see if it's going to work.
Yeah. But O'Connell's got a track record of taking this quarterback, fixing this quarterback, getting productivity out of this quarterback. So we'll see if he can do that with Kyler Murray. If you're an NFL fan, those are hot topics. Feel free. Fans Forum chat box is open for business. Hockey Hotline is available too.
Yeah, bad hit, bad blood, Ducks and Leafs.
Oh, this controversy is really deep. Let me just tell you what happened. Anaheim Ducks, Toronto Maple Leafs, end of the week. Superstar Austin Matthews is crossing center ice, going for the puck. Radko Gudas, veteran defenseman, big and burly, goes to check him, misses the check, sticks his left leg out, clips Austin Matthews, Gudas's knee to Austin Matthews' knee.
Ooh.
Torn MCL, torn meniscus, bad sprain, really bad, ugly hit. NHL the next day suspends Gudas 5 games without pay. It's $104,000. But this guy's got history. This is the 6th time that defenseman has been suspended by the league for head hits, cheap shot checks, or knee checks. 6 times. He's missed 26 games in his career so far. They are angry in Toronto. They're also angry in Toronto. Not one Maple Leaf player came to the aid of Matthews. Normally, when you get a cheap shot hit in open space that the whole world saw, there should be a response from your teammate. Not one Maple Leaf player responded towards Gudas. That's terrible. So that's a big issue, too. And now the players around the league are screaming. Connor McDavid in Edmonton, who's very influential, is demanded that the union not defend Gudas, that the union make a stand against the National Hockey League's Department of Player Safety, that guys who are repeat offenders should be disciplined more severely and should be disciplined, if you're a repeat offender, for as long as the guy you injured is out. And by the way, the Leafs play the Ducks the last week of the regular season. There might be some blood on that one. So, but it was terrible. I saw it. I watched. I bet I've watched the hit 5 different times, different angles, and I saw it in slow motion. And Gudas put his left leg out going full speed, knee on knee. It was terrible. And he's a repeat offender for this. You may be a Ducks fan. You may like him because he's big and burly and he plays tough in front of your net, protects your goaltender. But he's also done a lot of cheap stuff. And Gudas injured Sidney Crosby in the Olympics with a heavy hit.
Same guy.
Yeah, Gudas is the one that nailed Crosby and suffered the knee injury. It's knocked Crosby out for maybe the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand being big and tough and standing and playing for your color and the crest on your shirt, but you can't do that. You can't leg whip a guy. You can't put knee on knee check. And to see him lean to make sure his left knee got out and hit Matthews, who was coming towards him. Just gross. And Connor McDavid just lost his mind over the weekend in Edmonton. And he's an influential guy in the players' union saying, don't defend Gudas. Defend the health and the safety of the players who get injured by repeat offenders like this Ducks defenseman. What do you think?
Yeah, there's always a couple of dudes that are like that in every league. I remember like Bill Romanowski in the NFL. He played dirty.
Yeah.
There's a couple of guys that are always like that. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. On one hand, we're saying, okay, the league needs to go after, and almost have like a progressive scale. Like, the more offenses, the more severe the penalty is, and it becomes almost exponential. I think that makes sense. But, it's interesting, too, that you were saying, like, no one came out and defended Matthews. What do you want to see a brawl there? Is that an appropriate time for a fight? I mean, a few years ago, we were talking about have fights in hockey kind of been overplayed.
No, the fights for the most part have gone away, and the league has legislated a lot of stuff against cheap hits, like blows to the head or blows that are going to put you face first into the glass. I mean, they're really harsh. But I think the thing that's different is, okay, isolated blow, where I check you and you go into the glass and I get a 5-minute penalty and a misconduct. That would be a one-time incident where I hit you and you went face first. Maybe I wasn't cautious enough because you were facing the boards. But this is an open ice hit, and the Ducks defenseman is a repeat offender.
Yeah.
He's been suspended 6 times prior.
Yeah. I mean, some guys are just wired that way.
Yeah.
And so you do have to have a heavy hand in those cases. I agree.
So that's where we are. Hockey Hotline is open. You're an NHL fan. Feel free, jump on board. Last group before Fans Forum starts off the SportsWire.
High-speed SportsWire, San Diego FC.
Tough loss. Actually, it wasn't a loss, but
It was a draw.
it was a draw. SDFC plays to a 3-3 tie against Dallas in MLS action. Unique game. SDFC, there were 3 penalty shots in the game. Just amazing. San Diego had a 2-0 lead, couldn't hold it. Had a 3-1 lead, let it get away from them. Now, Dallas controlled time of possession. Dallas had 13 shots on goal. That being said, they came out of there with a point. So they're 3-0-1 on the season. But this was one that could have been in their pocket in a tough venue, and instead it got away from them. Now Wednesday, they head to Toluca for the second leg of the Champions Cup against Toluca. They beat Toluca 3-2 in a game that was marred by red cards. Now they got to go to Mexico and play at altitude on Wednesday night. One other soccer story. This just broke as I was coming over. English Premier League has just fined Chelsea $62 million.
Wow.
74 violations over a 7-year span of the financial rules. You're supposed to report all revenue that comes into your English Premier League team. You must report where the expenses go. They found that Chelsea, which at that point was owned by a Russian oligarch, Roman Abramovich, who has since been forced to sell the team because he's an ally of Putin. He was ordered to divest. They took the team from him when Russia attacked Ukraine. But Abramovich's front office was doing under-the-table marketing payments to players and to agents who would then funnel the money to players.
Kind of like Kawhi Leonard.
74 violations over 7 years.
Wow.
So they nailed them. 62 million. Yeah, that's a chunk of change.
Yeah, it is.
So that's the big story there. Chelsea in the English Premier League. It would not be a podcast if I did not update you about Formula One. Holy cow. F1 has just canceled the Bahrain and Saudi Arabia Grand Prix that were scheduled for 2 weeks in April because of the oil war, saying they will not put 1,000 members of race teams and crews and staff in danger of getting hit with missiles from Iran. That's an ungodly amount of money that goes away, comes off the books, because they're not going to reschedule till later in the year. They don't have any slots in their calendar. They're canceling the Grand Prix of Bahrain and the Grand Prix of Saudi Arabia. That's significant. Chinese Grand Prix in Shanghai, 19-year-old Kimo Antonelli grabbed the pole, went from pole to podium to win. And it was a Sunday of controversy in China. Get this, Team McLaren could not get either of their cars to start in the garage as they were getting ready to lead them out to the grid.
Whoa.
Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri had electronic problems in their new cars, failed to start, never got to the grid, could not race. Red Bull, Max Verstappen. Wouldn't be a Sunday without high drama with him. Engine failure in the middle of the race. Aston Martin's team. We've talked about their Honda engines causing terrible vibrations in the car. Their driver, Fernando Alonso, quit in the 22nd lap, taken to the hospital, nerve damage in his legs and his arms because of the vibrations. How can this be possible with these cars that built them, that tested them, they never solved the problem, and then they sent them out? 6 cars wound up not making the race or faltering and coming out of the race because of mechanical breakdowns. And then Verstappen just lost his marbles in the post-race press conference. He says, "This is undrivable. I've never driven anything like this. There's no grip, there's no balance, there's no power to any of these cars." Verstappen says, "We drivers need to stand up to FIA, demand a meeting, and demand changes." And of course, ownership. One of the owners has called his car Frankenstein. Another one said this is a bad accident waiting to happen. And the drivers are of the opinion, we're not racing, we're just managing the cockpit. This is just gruesome. We're 2 races in, and this controversy just keeps building and building and building. And now you got a driver hospitalized because of the vibrations to Fernando Alonso's car. They can't control. Just amazing. PGA Tour. I thought of you. I watched a little bit of the final round at TPC at Sawgrass yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I thought of you. Now I know why you don't play golf very much. I've never seen so many balls go into the water. You know, they have the 14th hole at Sawgrass.
Yeah.
It's called the Island hole.
Yeah.
Nobody could hit the green. Balls are going into the drink.
That's a tough shot.
Oh, it's impossible, especially for guys like you.
Yeah.
Cam Young, 5 birdie day, survived. He finished at 13 under, came out of nowhere to win. Matt Fitzpatrick, he had a bogey on 18, could have forced a playoff, which would have put him at the island hole again. He finished second place at -12. Xander Schauffele finally found his game. He was steady through the whole thing. He finished third at 11 under. The shocker was the Scandinavian, Ludvig Åberg. I mean, he had a round on Friday where he had 6 birdies and 2 eagles on Friday, and went to the top of the leaderboard and gave it all away. And yesterday, Åberg had 3 bogeys and a double bogey, just absolutely self-destructed. Brooks Koepka still trying to find his game. The shocker, Scotty Scheffler, there's no consistency to his game. He's had no dynamic starts at all in any of the tournaments, and Rory McIlroy is really struggling with a back issue. He didn't pull out, but he didn't play very well either. So, yeah, you on the island hole. That would have been funny to watch.
Yeah, that would have been a disaster.
So, anyhow, go ahead. Start with SDFC. Talk about all things F1, FU. That's what Max Verstappen said Friday. F this. In essence, talking about F this, F1.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you know, I was watching WBC, and then when that game ended, I'm like, oh, yeah, SDFC's playing. So I flipped over to that station, and yeah, they scored like in extra time. You know, Dallas scored in extra time to tie it. You know, it's like the tie is like kissing your sister.
Well,
you know,
it's a kind of heartbreak. You played all well, and you allowed the tying goal at the 93rd minute.
Yeah. I mean, that was a frustrating way to have that end, but they're undefeated still, which, you know, is early in the season. And by the way, I was out, like my son lives out in Plano now. And right there, Plano, Frisco that area is where the stadium is for San Diego or for Dallas FC. Not too far from that, you know, that second Jerry World, you know, where the Cowboy, the Star is out that way. It's kind of an interesting area. So yeah, San Diego FC is just a fun team to watch, and they're successful. I'm happy for them. Yeah, F1, it's always a drama with these guys, but these are still really young men. I mean, how old is Max Verstappen? He's got to be in his early 20s, right? You know, so he's whining about this and whining about that.
But this seems to be pretty damn legitimate when every driver on every team is screeching that these things don't work, that FIA made all these changes with no input for the drivers and nothing works. And then you get a driver hospitalized with nerve damage in his legs and his arms because of vibrations in the car that his team can't solve.
Yeah, sometimes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So why are they keep monkeying with this?
Boy,
but it's the league officials that are changing the specifications, right?
FIA, yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
Just amazing. Okay, those are all things talking about his golf game. Are there any Formula One fans out there aside from me? I want to hear what you've got to say. It's time for Fans Forum. We want to hear what you've got to add to this podcast. Podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers. You got projects, they've got materials. And a reminder, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you won't believe the tool collection. Go to the website, just see what Dixieline has to offer. Punch up the different things on their website, dixieline.com. John, I bet there's some people that want to talk a little baseball, talk some NFL football, talk about the other topics on the table.
Yeah, let's kick it off with music to my ears. Let's talk some WBC. Hey, Cal Raleigh fist bumps the dugout after striking out again. Locked in, 0 hits in the WBC. Calls a Rosarena his brother, but ignores him on the field. Mariners Reddit fans are pissed.
It'll be interesting to see now that, these guys are all going back to Peoria in the final week and a half of spring training. Rosarena is already back there, and, of course, Cal Raleigh will get back there. But Cal Raleigh said, this is no big deal. I just don't do it for anybody. There was an incident with Will Smith, the Dodger catcher. Somebody was going to make some statement to him, and Will said, "No, I'm just calling balls and strikes here. I'm not going to converse with you here." I think it might have been last night's game.
Yeah.
So no big thing. And we'll see because they will ask a Rosarena again, but a Rosarena's already back in camp and said closed issue, etc. And Raleigh said it was never an issue. I just don't do business that way.
This is a bunch of nothing, and it's just a bunch of nothing. Something to talk about. When these guys are playing for their team, they're not really at that moment. They're not teammates. They're competing, and you want to keep that game face on. I get it.
But I've seen some batters go to the plate and fist bump the umpire, who's fist bumped them back.
Yeah, they're just kissing up, hoping he's going to get some good calls. Okay. All right, let's go here. Yeah, more SDFC talk here from Callan. Afternoon, gents. That was a difficult ending for SDFC. If anything, that means Ferry becomes the #1 goalkeeper. Feeling nervous excitement for Wednesday against Toluca. Going to be a tough one.
I'll be intrigued to see whether they go back to the 19-year-old because they played Pablo Sinibra as a starting goaltender in Dallas. But again, that's a league game. That's in a real tough set of circumstances in a hostile environment on the road. Dallas has got firepower. So I can understand maybe going with the veteran. Now, what do they do going back to Toluca? But again, the kid, Farias, the 19-year-old, he played really well. He won the first 3 matches of the season for them. And then obviously they won in Toluca too.
See, I'm just getting used to all these different keepers because last year it was Dos Santos for almost all the season.
Well, 2/3 of the season, then he suffered the fractured orbital bone. He's never really recovered.
God, I hope he comes back. But it is interesting seeing these new faces, young kid there playing, and they just keep winning.
The 19-year-old, he won 3 in a row, plus he won in the Champions Cup game.
Wow. Yeah, Toluca Wednesday night.
Yeah, big game.
Big game. Okay, let's keep on going here. Let's go to Peck, talk some WBC. Hello, gents. WBC, gotta love it, especially the knockout round. My son and I were hooked and on the edge of our seats, especially during the Kano.
I'll tell you, it was great to watch Skeens pitch. I mean, no fear at all, and he was just throwing BBs. He gave up the 1 solo home run. Did give up 5 hits, but he didn't wilt under any pressure at all. The flip side, I was so stunned the Dominican bullpen held up against Team USA's bats. But the USA they struck out 15 times in that game last night.
Yeah,
15 Ks. So good game. Let's just take this and let's just put it in the middle of All-Star Week and make the All-Star Week a 10-day vacation and just play the WBC when all your pitchers are healthy. And everybody should probably want to pitch for the flag and do it during the All-Star break. I just think that'd be so good. What a stroke of brilliance it would be.
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea. Hopefully they do that. But, last night Severino was really good. I mean,
early on, he wasn't pitching different parts of the zone.
Yeah, he looked really good. And we think of the Dominicans, we always think about the offense, but not so much about the pitching. But they have dudes out there that can throw as well. Yep. So, did you see the video clips of the Dominican Republic, like kind of leaving the stadium and You know, you can tell they were disappointed. They didn't bring home one for their home, for their hometown. That's got to be tough. I mean, for the Dominican Republic fans, this is everything.
Just think again, we did not have all the great pitchers that would have been available because they weren't ready in the middle of spring training. If we did this in July, everybody, would be probably available to pitch. Holy cow, would that be some matchup?
Well, I think we're at a stage now where everyone wants to get in on it. They don't feel like it's a duty that they have to go and do this game, and they want to be there. And by the way, did you see the video of Juan Marichal?
Yes.
He was dancing in the clubhouse with the DR guys, and that was great.
Yeah. I was very impressed with Albert Pujols, the way he handled some of the issues and his public statements too. It was, I think the players really look at Pujols differently and say, wow, this guy has the potential maybe to be a real good manager too.
Yeah. Do you ever think the Padres really should have signed him instead of Stammen?
Huge question. He may have asked for certain things. He may want his own entire coaching staff and no outside interference. Who knows why sometimes the relationship works. That being said, I'll reflect back when they hired the manager who had been in Oakland, Bob
Melvin.
Yeah, good track record. I thought that was going to work.
Yeah.
And then they hired the guy who came from St. Louis. And I thought, well, this guy has been under AJ for 2 years, so he knows all the intricacies and all that. And I thought that would have worked, and it did not. So you just never know about the interactions of upper level management, the manager they're going to hire, and then the support staff, and who gets to make the right decision, the critical decision.
Yeah, you're never going to go. But I think the vibes are real good with the Padres with Stammen. But yeah, Pujols strikes me as a guy that's very deserving of a manager role, largely not because of his experience, but just the respect that he commands.
Yeah, I think so. I bet experience too. My goodness, all the success he's had and all the good people he's played for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, we move on.
Okay, let's go here to Bat Fan. Hey, men's Aztecs were mid all year, so them missing out wasn't unexpected. But the women's Aztecs, that's just total BS.
I don't understand. They got no votes. They kept asking the question, how come there's nobody paying any attention to what they're doing? They had the massive win streak. Are the UConn or UCLA? No, not at all. But they should be top 25. You go 25-5 and you dominate the strength of schedule. Okay, I grant you, they're not playing the Connecticut Huskies, they're not playing UCLA, etc. But geez, they should have been in the tournament some way, somehow. Just what a disservice. Stacey Terry Hootson has done such a good job there, and no respect at all.
Yeah, it's just, again, I think it's Power 5 conference bias. They had a hell of a season, and when they lost that first round to Air Force, it was like a 9-1.
Yeah,
that was just like, I couldn't believe it. I was like picking my jaw up off the ground that they didn't get that done. And, then Coach Hutt is there on the sidelines supporting his wife, as the head coach. There's a lot to love there.
Now, Stacey's done a really good job in terms of turnover, roster building, etc. Last year they had a good season, but they ran into a buzzsaw. They got killed in the first round of the tournament. It was always awful.
Yeah.
They played one of the big teams and just...
Well, that just, maybe that, again, just goes to prove that big girls and little girls, right?
Yeah. Good point.
Okay, let's go here to Mike. He goes, hey, fellas, with the WBC coming to a close, now is a good time to ask if you think that the WBC is the actual real World Series, because other countries could argue that our World Series is misnamed.
Well, but our World Series has so much history and legacy to it that goes back to the 1900s. It is a fabric. It's a piece of Americana. So that stays. But to have a special tournament, they've always struggled since they formed the WBC where in the calendar it should be. John and I have the opinion. You tell us. Put it in the middle of the 10-day All-Star break. Make it there. And at that point, all your pitchers are available. And can you imagine the pitching staffs on some of these teams? Now, I'll tell you, Italy, Czechia, no, they shouldn't be in the WBC unless you just want to make it Team Europe.
Well, Italy has made the semifinals. They looked great.
That's a reach.
No, but they've won. I mean, scoreboard.
Okay. You always invoke that, pull that out of your pocket.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think you could have a good WBC at mid-season. And then you just have to devise what your teams are going to be made up of. Is it going to be Team USA, Team Canada? It's obviously going to be Japan. It's going to be Korea. It's going to be the Dominican Republic. Is it Puerto Rico, or do you just call it Team Caribbean, which would include Puerto Rico, Venezuela? There are different ways to structure it just to bring all the best teams together.
Yeah, there are different ways to structure it. I hear you. It's kind of hard to, because once you get to some of the teams that don't have a whole lot of baseball talent,
England,
you got to start really digging, and you don't know if Duke can get on vacation days from his plumbing job, to make the WBC. But I agree with you. I think it'd be great in the All-Star break, and I just generally like the idea of giving teams like time, just to rest, because that's a grind, man. It's like every day they're playing ball.
Yeah.
They deserve a week or two off, and then that way they come back refreshed for the playoff chase.
Yep. Second half would be really cool. And I just tend to think make it a 10-day vacation and just play your tournament within that 10-day window.
Yeah. And then you could pay the players, the money they deserve to be there, so they don't feel like they're sacrificing, that they're getting compensated.
We'll see where it goes. Should go based on what we just recommended. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, let's talk some hockey with Casey. Hey, good afternoon, guys. And Hacksaw, do you think the Kings can get on a consistent winning streak and make postseason, or do you think they'll come up short?
They just don't look like they have the right pieces. They've lost 9 of 13 games. And this is wrapped around the trading deadline after they made the deal to get Panarin, that they put him over the top, but then they suffered a couple of injuries. So doesn't look like it. I mean, the focal point, everything that's going on in Anaheim, they're in first place. The Ducks are in first place. And Pat Verbeek has made all these significant veteran acquisitions to complement the kids. So, and obviously he's got a great coach in Joel Kenville. So now is Anaheim equal to the top teams? Equal to Colorado, Dallas? No. But they're much better now than they've been in the last 5 to 6 years. So just pay attention to the Ducks. Disappointed for the Kings, and I don't know how many more changes they can make because they've made trades. They fired the coach. They fired the general manager. They have a different general manager now, different coach. So at this point, I'm kind of amazed that the Kings just have never, ever really come together.
You figure that if the Kings somehow make the playoffs, they'll probably get the Edmonton Oilers in the first round. It just seems like they always get knocked out by the Oilers.
4 years in a row.
Yeah, that's uncanny, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's go here to Chris. Hey, thank you, Paul Skeens, for once and for all proving an ageless debate. The great pitching does, in fact, beat great hitting.
Well, it's great pitching beat great hitting on both sides in that game last night. That was pretty impressive, and there were some rocket shots that were hit and some great defensive plays that were made during the course of the game. But just think if we did this in July at the All-Star break, everybody's frontline pitchers representing every country would probably want to be on that staff and be available. Wow. And you're not asking somebody to go 9 innings because you stacked so many good guys there.
Yeah, you could plot this out like the Dodger analytics guys did, and make this thing work. It'd be a lot of fun during that part of the year. Plus, it's summertime. That's baseball time, right?
Plus, it's global.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy cow, the TV ratings you'd get globally, just amazing.
Okay, let's keep on trucking. Let's go to Richard. He goes, hey, it's the same old story. If you're a 500 team in a power conference, the NCAA will always give you a spot in the tournaments. If you're a little guy, unless you walk on water, you're not in.
Well, we're sitting here talking about SMU, 8-10 record in their conference. SMU, 11th in their league, and they get in. And nobody from the Mountain West Conference outside of Utah State. And they beat each other's brains out all year. We got 7 20-win teams in this conference, and the only one that got in was Utah State. That's so unfair. Now, would San Diego State win a game in March Madness? Maybe not, because they're so beat up. But I'd sure like to see New Mexico play. I'd sure like to see some of these other guys play, but not going to happen. It's what it is. It's the big boys. One with the big money, they're the ones that are going to get it all. So March Madness going forward, although it'll be great because of the top teams have all the players, it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be the same feel as it's been years gone by.
Yeah. I mean, little by little, the mid-majors getting squeezed.
Yeah, the Butlers and the George Masons of the world, I don't think are going to be part of this going forward.
That's part of the reason why I think the tournament should expand. I'm all, they want to go to what, 72 or something like that?
64 to, so it's 68 to 72 or 76.
Yeah. I mean, I would go 96. Yes. I mean, because those teams on the bubble, I mean, there was Indiana, Oklahoma, New Mexico, the Aztecs. There were some deserving teams, and those guys, they deserve to be there. And by the way, in case you're wondering, New Mexico and Nevada Reno are going in the NIT.
Mm-hmm. Well, everybody from the Mountain West outside of the Aztecs is going to the NIT.
Yeah.
I think there's 5 Mountain West teams, but the NIT is not the NIT. I remember telling Steve Fisher when he first came here, and Steve's first year, I think they were 0-14 in the conference. I mean, it was terrible. They had no players. And then they got progressively better. And then they hit on a couple recruits and they got good. And then the first time that they became postseason eligible, or they did something, they got invited to the NIT. And this might have been in Steve Fisher's 3rd year or 4th year. And I remember telling him, I said, you need to sit your guys down and give them a history lesson of the NIT, all the great teams. Because the NIT was actually the forerunner to March Madness in the NCAA.
Yeah, it was the thing.
Yeah, it was the thing back when New York basketball was something. And tell them about the history of the Mecca. And I said, Madison Square Garden. Tell them about the greatness of the Garden. I said, if your guys do well, they're going to wind up playing in the Garden. Well, they're not playing in the Garden anymore. They took it out of there. They're playing in Indianapolis in the middle of the week. So the luster and the sparkly lights of the NIT don't exist anymore. It's a very different time.
Yeah. I mean, but it's been replaced by something even better. Mm-hmm. But there is still a little bit of that Madison Square Garden kind of allure that was there. Now, by the way, I remember the Aztecs when they first broke through to March Madness, at least the big tournament, was in 2003, maybe, when they went and played Illinois. Mm-hmm. They had won the tournament, it was a magic run in Vegas. So I'm trying to think of, because I remember there one year they went to the NIT. They might have made it to the semifinals one year, so they were able to make the trip to New York, but they got bounced.
Yeah.
That tournament has a lot of history.
Oh, just amazing. I told Steve, talk to them. You got the graphics, the ability, show them the pictures of the Garden and all the great storylines about basketball at Madison Square Garden.
I told Steve Fisher to do this, to do that. It's all good. It's all good. Okay, let's keep on going. More college basketball from Carlos. How about those UCLA Bruins? Playing good basketball at the right time of the year. The Bruins have a great chance to make a nice run, led by veteran guard Donovan Dent. Athleticism and size.
A little bit of concern, though, because Tyler Bilodeau went down in one game in that Big Ten tournament with a minor sprain of the knee, and then Dent went down in that next game with a calf injury that they lost to Purdue. Now, they're of the opinion that both these guys might be good to go as they have to go cross-country again to go play in Philadelphia. But, if Dent, calf injuries are kind of skitterish. That's a problem. I mean, and they're not the same team without Donovan Dent. But they get Dent and Bilodeau. They're playing really well in their defense. Their defense has really cranked it up again. But, boy, those two guys getting dinged right at the end of the season, wow.
Yeah, Dent's a hell of a player. I mean, we was in New Mexico. He chewed up the Aztecs. But we were just talking about Mick Cronin and how he's like over the top, yelling at people, needs to be reprimanded. Can this program make March Madness? And now all of a sudden.
Well, they're playing well right now. And they kind of finished upbeat. But now.
So is Mick Cronin a good guy or a bad guy? I mean, has he turned this thing around?
He needs to reel it in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe he's learned something because a lot of people really were pissed. LA Times called for his firing. So he's got to control himself.
Yeah, he does.
So, we'll see. Well, hopefully Dent and Bilodeau are good to go. And if not, it might be one and done.
All right, let's keep going. We'll go to Ryan here. Hey, your thoughts on Justin Fields getting traded to the Chiefs today? You can't see the Jets going with Geno Smith as a starting quarterback come opening day. You guys think they'll look elsewhere?
No, he's the guy. Now, I don't know if the Jets are going to draft somebody else for the future, but the Geno Smith is the guy. They're taking on a chunk of that big contract. They paid the Justin Fields to Kansas City trade, they put $7 million in the deal. They're paying most of Justin Fields' contract for him to go to Kansas City. So he's a really good athlete. He's just not an established NFL quarterback or a consistent NFL quarterback. Geno is going to be the guy. This is the last year of his contract. We'll see if he does better. I don't know. To me, he's always been kind of a wild thing. He plays well, makes big plays, screws up, throws picks, etc. He had 17 interceptions this past year in that mess in Las Vegas. So, but he's going to be the starting quarterback. We'll see if they draft another quarterback, but they're so deficient in players. My God, their roster's so depleted there in New York. So they're going to be probably another bad team this year.
Yeah, they're waiting to draft a guy. Maybe like you say, next year's class, get a Dante Moore, get one of those guys. But I was reading that the Jets had to send money to the Chiefs to take on Fields, but the Raiders gave the Jets money to take on Geno. So effectively, the Vegas money went to Kansas City, on this whole thing, and the Jets kind of sort of are washed on this whole thing. But in the end, it just seems like you're just sort of plugging in
a fill-in
that's just going to hopefully make your season not horrible, hopefully kind of mid. And I mean, the Jets haven't been dominant in like forever. I mean, even Pennington back in the day, it wasn't really a dominant run, but they were just the wild card for a few years.
They've gone through so many mistakes at quarterback. I mean, they drafted Zach Wilson. They drafted Sam Darnold. When you make mistakes on quarterbacks, it sets you way back. And they've made a bunch of mistakes. And we always laugh and talk about how horrible the quarterback situation is in Cleveland. New York Jets.
But look at what Sam Darnold turned into when he got some good coaching.
We had to go to 5 different teams.
Yeah, but he finally figured it out. Right. So this goes back to, is the Jets, what's their player development program? And, what's Aaron Glenn doing? I mean, I know Aaron Glenn, I see that one video. He's like running up and down the sidelines, trying to get his guys going. But if you're a Jets fan, you're like,
a lot of bad football for a long time.
Yeah, it really has been.
So we'll see. Geno started with the Jets. He's moved all over the parking lot. And is he an athlete? Yes. Is he a complete quarterback? No. Has he had great success? No. They came out of West Virginia and a hyped up offense and took him forever to become an NFL quarterback. And there are touchdowns. He does run the football some. He gets hurt, does throw a lot of picks, threw 17 picks last year.
Okay.
All
right. Let's talk some more Aztec with Michael. Hey, great show, guys. 5 stars to each of you.
Thank you.
Aztecs men's basketball is losing 3 seniors to graduation. How many other players leave? Who's staying on board for next year? Thanks.
Well, we don't know. That's what the conversations are going to be like this year. I read my one man's opinion column today on my website. Read that. You're an Aztec fan. Read that. Why would you leave aside from a payday? So you're taking your skill and you're going somewhere else and you're going to start all over. That doesn't always work out. You're playing for a coach that you trust. Guy's got great credibility. The guy cares about his players. It's not here today, gone tomorrow at San Diego State. You're moving to a new conference. A conference got Gonzaga. You can change addresses, maybe get a bigger NIL payday, but are you in a better situation? To me, the burning question is, what does Guath do? Because he is eligible. He's not ready to be in the NBA. So stay here one more year, finish this thing up, and try to stay healthy. If they can keep him healthy, then they can grow his game. Miles Byrd stayed. He wasn't ready a year ago. His offense isn't anywhere near what it has to be, but he's obviously become a very good defensive specialist. But I don't think he'll stay another year. I wish he would. He's got one more year to go. And so if you can keep this group together and you just continue to develop these kids, because there was development in Compton and there was development in DeGorville. And obviously we've seen what Harrington had done very early on before he got nicked up. So why would you want to go somewhere else? You're in San Diego, my God.
Yeah, everyone aspires to be bigger and better than they are. They probably have always wanted to play for, a Power 4 school. And if someone's offering money, I mean, they're not going to, walk away from $500,000, $1 million bucks. So I don't know. I mean, you think about you're going to lose Dixon Waters. You're losing Miles Byrd. Who's the other senior that's leaving? Jeremiah Oden is leaving. So you want to keep, there's like two sets of pairs, right? There's the Tay Simmons, Elsie Harrington pair. There's the Farrell Compton, Taj DeGorville pair. Then there is Magoon Guath. Those are the guys you want to keep. BJ Davis has probably got another year left of eligibility, I think.
There's a redshirt kid, Latrell Davis, who'll be back.
He'll be back. You got Majak that's kind of waiting his turn. But what's interesting is even before NIL and into NIL, the Aztecs have always had this reputation of guys staying, guys that appreciate the culture, that appreciate the coaching staff, that feel comfortable, like it's family here. So, and every year they've been able to avoid the mass defection. So, I mean, frankly, that was a big recipe. The part of their success when they went to the finals is they had so many 5-year guys.
Right.
So, is this going to all blow up? Has the NIL era kind of is it out of reach of Dutcher's normal plan? I mean, is Dutcher going to adapt to this? These are open questions.
Well, the question is there more money they're going to be able to access?
Yeah. Did you see that University of San Diego supposedly getting $3 million for NIL?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, that's bigger than the Aztecs budget, isn't it?
No, the Aztecs budget is, I want to say, is headed towards 6.
Oh, it is?
Yes. No, okay. They've done a great job. I mean, it started with the Mesa Foundation, I think it was called.
Yeah.
They've done a really great job vis-a-vis the basketball program. And so we'll see.
Well, Kentucky's like 20 million.
Yeah, exactly. But if they can control the groupings that you put out there, you're solid. You just grow them and build it. And especially when you keep Guath there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of those guys that I named, they're freshmen and sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if they're all 1 year older. Yeah, that could be an incredible team. We'll probably end up hyping them up in next fall.
And there's transfer portal. You dive back in, you go get 2 more people, including maybe an outside 3-point shooter.
Well, yeah. And Dutcher's always now, he attracts the talent.
Yep.
So it's all good.
Okay. I mean, from the disappointment of this year, it's a one-off. Is it the end of the program? Yeah. No. Hopefully.
Some people on X are saying fire Dutch. That's just nonsense.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion, even if it's wrong.
Yeah, it's just nonsense.
We move on.
Okay. Let's go to Timer. Hey, the Angels make no sense because they have the stupidest owner in baseball.
A blueprint. I mean, I just don't understand a blueprint, especially this year where you had all this money coming off, and then you got Rendon money. And they're $55 million less in payroll than they were last year. Now, I understand they lost their TV contract, and that's a bit of a blow. But buying on aisle 3 at Dollar General does not help them. I mean, look at all the guys they brought in, and hardly any of them are doing anything in spring training. And these were guys that were supposed to. There's too many holes in that roster, and at this point, I don't see a lot of guys filling a lot of these holes. It's a big issue. This has the potential to be another really bad season.
And didn't Jorge Soler get in trouble, like domestic abuse or something like that?
Yeah, in Atlanta, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but his trouble in Anaheim has just been injuries. He can't stay on the field.
Yeah. Yeah, just the Angels it's just another one of these cursed teams.
Yeah.
They just can't get it right. And yeah, I mean, Artie has a history of really trying to win. He got Ohtani. He pays Trout. He signed big-time free agents that didn't pan out.
Right.
But so I can understand why he's a bit gun-shy now.
But if you're gun-shy, you don't want to own it or run it correctly, sell it.
Yeah.
It's a big market unto itself. I mean, I swear to you, if the Angels could be relevant again, and they were in that short period of time when I guess Disney owned them, I think of the Tim Salmon era and Mark Langston and Chuck Finley. Orange County could be a market just like San Diego has become.
Well, right now the Padres are for sale. I've hearing bids between $2.5 and $3.5 billion, right?
Yep.
The Angels should be worth more than that. Don't you think?
Yeah, but it's not a shiny new stadium. They don't own the stadium either.
But still, I mean, Orange County is a market, but let's be real. The market is LA.
But the market is Orange County unto itself.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the core. But that footprint extends to the Inland Empire. It extends into LA. It does. Mm-hmm. Not as much as Dodger Blue Heaven, but there's infiltration there. and then it reaches down into like, Temecula and Riverside County out in the desert. I mean, that's a big market. I mean, I think the TV revenue opportunity with the Angels is far better than the Padres. That's why I think Artie's TV,
idea.
Yeah, that could be something. That could be secret sauce.
We'll see, though, but not if you're having 90 lost seasons on a year-by-year basis.
Oh, yeah, hell no.
So that's where we are.
Okay.
Next one.
Retro says, hey, no Snell, no problem. The Dodgers are so loaded on pitching side, they'll be in first with or without Blake Snell.
I agree, and Snell will be back. I don't know whether it's going to be May 15th or June 1st. I mean, he's only thrown off the mound one time. He's not pitched competitively at all. So it will be time. But they got Yamamoto and they got Glasnow. Now, I don't know whether Roki can stay in the rotation if he's only a two-pitch pitcher. But Dave Roberts just continues to back this kid, and they're going to give him the ball again tomorrow. His last start was just horrific, and he couldn't control his stuff. So we'll just have to see. And he's so young. But the Dodgers, they've got enormous depth. And at spring training camp, Gavin Stone is back on the mound and start throwing again. Of course, he's had the shoulder issue. And they got a guy from AAA, River Ryan, who has pitched really well in all these spring training games. And Robluski, as a starter, last year was in the bullpen, the left-hander. He's pitched well. So they think they have enough depth, at least to start the season, that they'll be okay. And what a great lineup they have. So, no. But when you're paying Snell that kind of money, you just say, why does this keep happening in the beginning of the season every year he's been anywhere he's been?
Yeah, that's a problem for Snell. I mean, I would think, you'd want to address that as a man, that you're dependable, if I get it, maybe some springs you're off to a slow start. This is like every year, and sure, you get time off, and Dodger fans like, no big deal. Blake Snell will roll in May or June, maybe not till August. No big deal. But from Blake Snell's perspective, I think, you want to be looked upon as a reliable workhorse that can log the innings and be a dependable pillar in the staff.
You got your analytics people. Why is there not an off-season regimen that you demand that he does?
Yeah.
When he goes back to off-season home in Seattle, this is what you do in December. This is what you do in January. Now, he's of the opinion that he didn't feel right all season long. And now we find this after the fact, but of course he did have a phenomenal season. So he's making so much money, though. I mean, to me, the Dodgers have to put their foot down. This is what you're going to do because you owe us because we gave you this money.
I remember when Clayton Kershaw signed the deal that was roughly $30 million a year. And I remember doing the math, and it came down to about, at least $10,000 every time he threw the ball. Because if you figure you make 30, and so Snell is making 30, isn't he? Maybe even more. And he doesn't even pitch 30 games in a season. He probably pitches 10 to 15 in the regular season. But if you did the math, $30 million a year, assume you get 30 starts, which is asking a lot. That's a $1 million a start. And if you have 100 pitches a game, then that's $10,000 every time you throw the ball. That's unbelievable, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And for Blake Snell, he's making much, much more than that because he's getting paid $30 million and he only pitches 10 to 15 times in the regular season. Yeah, it's insane.
It really is.
I mean, well, good for him for signing, but wow, Dodgers have it all.
Next one.
Okay, let's go to Hobby. The Dominican has to reject Manny and Tatis next tournament. Obviously can't win with those two.
Well, Tatis has hit some home runs, and I tell you what, he has thundered on the bases. I mean, you talk about playing for the flag. He's been pretty impressive. I hope he plays like that every game for the Padres. Manny has not hit all that well in the WBC, but just the whole aura of everything. I mean, the WBC has been so much fun to watch, whether it was the fans rooting for Team Mexico or obviously all the Caribbean, Latin American teams. Holy cow, what Puerto Rico and Panama was terribly disappointed they didn't move on, although I never felt they had enough players. But this is really something special. And that's why I say if you put this thing in June or in July in the middle of a 10-day All-Star break, could you imagine every player, regardless of where they came from, would want to be part of this?
Oh yeah,
because they'd be in game shape and they'd be ready to play for the flag.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And by the way, Javi right here, that's arrogant Dodger fan smack talk right there.
Oh,
That's his point. You know, he's
Mhm.
cloaking it in this WBC. Tatis was electric through that
Yeah.
whole tournament. I mean, his OPS was well over 1,000.
Mhm.
Manny made those big time plays, those 2 in a row at third.
Yep.
You know, so I don't know. I mean, the DR guys got a hit. You know, I mean, they only had one guy hit a home run. It's not all on Manny and
Well,
Tatis.
nobody
it's the whole lineup.
Nobody hit. Team USA struck out 15 times.
Yeah, right. So you know, then they're going to say, "Oh wait, no way, it was the umpire." It's something.
Okay, thanks for joining us.
Okay, more on the WBC. This is from Bill. Bad call. Should have had Tatis facing Miller. Thoughts on replacing the umps in WBC with automation?
Well, I think there'll be a big push. I think ABS will be part of everything next year. In fact, I don't know if you've heard there's a new movement now, and it's going to be announced. ABS, of course, which has been experimented in the minor leagues and has graduated now to the major leagues for this year for balls and strikes. They've just invoked automated challenge for check swings. They're going to use it at AAA. They're going to experiment in AAA.
Yeah, that's good. This is the Mark Grant test, right? Because he always gives the benefit of the doubt to the pitcher. And that, by the way, the check swing rule is very subjective, don't you think? There are no objective rules. I mean, does it mean that the bat has to be I don't know, like rotated 90 degrees to be square with the front of the plate? Or does it mean you break your wrists? I mean, what's the definition of a check swing?
I don't know. I read about what they were going to implement. It's going to be only in the Pacific Coast League and AAA.
That's good. So in the end, objective rules, get it right.
With the technology.
Thank
you very much.
Okay. And
thanks, Bill.
What's that?
No.
You want to keep on going?
Yep.
All right. Let's keep on going. And let's go to our friend John. Hey, seems like MLB took a tip from the NHL with the WBC tournament.
Yep.
Last night was like Game 7 of the World Series. Surprised that wasn't your lead on the podcast today. Hell of a way to get folks excited for the upcoming baseball season.
I concur. And now we stamp it and let's just transfer it into the All-Star break and have everybody play representing their flag. Because there are so many great players, notably pitchers, that just did not feel comfortable nor ready to pitch at max level in WBC games in March. I'll guarantee if the sucker's in mid-July at the All-Star break, everybody want to play for the flag, I think.
Oh, yeah. This has just been great.
Yep.
I mean, this is the format. I mean, like, for example, the NBA All-Star game has never been – the NBA All-Star game is the one that's most desperate for a format change like this. Don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I think find a way to do it. Don't have these 30-point scrimmages. That's ridiculous.
So baseball's kind of figuring it out.
Hockey already has.
Hockey already has. Football, you can't really do that.
Flag football doesn't work.
But the NBA should do something similar. And again, I think to your point, you might have to do it by continent rather than by nation. But that's what they need.
USA versus the world in the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think you could break it down a little bit more granularly than just that. You could have 4 teams. Because basketball is global, man. It's everywhere. Mm-hmm. You could really make it work.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Okay, let's go to Gary. He goes, hey, nice getting the latest while I tinker around in my garage. Your voice takes me back to when I was listening to you on the 5805 Merge Freeway parking lot. Thanks to the memories with the San Diego Chargers, too. You are a San Diego icon.
Thank you for the compliment. Glad you enjoy it. We do it kind of differently than anybody else because we actually do a lot of hardcore topics and express opinions. Mine are valid. Sometimes his are from left field, but we enjoy doing this a lot. I'll tell you, it's a labor of love. And I use the word labor. The amount of work it does to put together the stuff that we use for my website. You got to read my website. And then obviously what we do here. And then John builds all the graphics, etc. We're working a lot for 2 guys that aren't supposed to be working very much.
It is a labor of love. And we're very thankful to our friends at Dixieline for sponsoring us. We're very thankful to our fans forum because sometimes people throw us a couple of bucks using the YouTube super chat feature. And we always encourage that, but it is a labor of love. You don't stop.
No, it's in my DNA. I am who I am.
I mean, you're going to be reporting sports to the bitter end.
But Gary's a prime example.
Yeah, he is.
Gary admits he did not hate gridlock. He was on the 405 at 405 when I did the best 15 minutes in radio, and he could tolerate gridlock as long as he had the best 15 minutes in sports on my show.
Well, yeah, he was at the 5805.
Yeah.
But he was probably listening to you in both those traffic
Oh,
jams.
my God.
Okay.
Well, Gary, thank you.
Okay, let's go here to social media. And this is a fun one right here. This is from Christopher. We were talking about PGA 2027 changes. He goes, golf is not a sport. It could be a hobby, but definitely not a sport. Get that out of here.
Awful lot of money in golf. It's a different era in golf right now. We used to watch all the PGA stops on Sunday to see what was the next great thing Tiger was going to do. And Tiger kept doing great things. But that era is in the history book now. And now we got the changing of the guard. And we started this season, and for the first time in about 3 years, Scotty Scheffler is not vintage Scotty Scheffler, which is, wow, what's happened to his game? It's not dominant. Because the last couple of years, Scotty Scheffler won 16 tournaments and plus a bunch of Grand Slams. He's just waiting for make a move up the leaderboard. It hasn't happened in the first group of tournaments this season, which is kind of really weird. But there are stars out there. It's just a different tour right now.
Now, hockey's legit. It is, but it's not a sport. Yeah, in my definition.
You're talking about hockey or golf?
Golf. Did I say hockey?
You said hockey.
I meant golf. Okay, so.
You got a concussion?
I think I might have. Yeah, I got hit on the head by a golf ball. My definition of a sport is there has to be a defense. And I that makes a lot of sense to me, and so golf is legit, but to me, it's a contest. It's a game.
It's skill.
But it's not a sport.
Because there's no defense and not getting hit.
Well, the hitting is optional. There's just no defense. Okay. And I think that's the differentiator, according to me.
Wrong.
Okay. All right. Let's keep on going here. And let's talk about the Dodgers. This is from Joe. He goes, are the Dodger fans arrogant? Maybe. When your team wins, you get bragging rights. Padre fans certainly exercise their bragging rights over the Dodgers when they knocked them out of the postseason in 2022. But when you win the championship, bragging rights are universal. Your team gets them over the entire league. And there are undoubtedly some Dodger fans who exercise their bragging rights a little too vehemently, as there are with every team that wins a championship.
Nah, they've won the division, 11 times in the last 12 years. They got 2 sets of World Series rings already, and hands on the team to beat again for a third year now. And if they win 3 rings in 5 years, that's kind of a dynasty. So, no, that's okay to have gunfire and brashness and boldness and Dodger fan yelling at Padre fan and Padre fan giving back. And that's the sport. That's okay.
Yeah, I think multiple things can be true at the same time, right? On one level, yeah, the Dodger fans are arrogant. And yes, some of them cross the line, but it's all part of the fun of it. It's a rivalry. We could say how much of a rivalry it is. Dodger fans are probably more focused on the Giants, but it's okay, but it's fun to poke back. It gets a little tiring when big sister is always kicking little sister. You got to kick back.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen the uniqueness of the rivalry in the last couple of years. Jerks and Profar jumping up and down in left field after snaring that home run ball, and Tatis giving it back to the fans after stealing a home run ball, and Mike Schilt turning Cincinnati red colors in his face, screaming at Dave Roberts, who was yelling at him. And, that's okay. That's part of the rivalry. Have the Dodgers dominated? At the end of the day, just adopt a truism. Scoreboard does not lie.
Well, at least the boys haven't gone Johnny Roseboro yet. It hasn't gotten that ugly, but I like the rivalry. I think it makes it fun. And most Dodgers like to be good sports. Dodger fans, most of them are good, but a few of them are.
About a week and a half, we're going to do our baseball preview. We're going to break down the divisional races, so you won't want to miss that too.
Won't want to miss it. Okay, let's talk some Chargers with Ray. Ortiz must be under pressure not to spend money from the Spanos family.
He's done so well in the draft his last couple of years. I mean, he's really restocked that roster with athletes. I just don't understand this. When they had $90 million about. Now, granted, they did have to re-sign Khalil Mack, and they've had to re-sign some of their other younger players. I understand that. But you still had a chunk of change left to go find an offensive guard or an offensive center. And they signed a second-tier center, and he said maybe he's going to be a decent rental, but that's all he'll be is decent. We're not talking stud here. And then they let Zion Johnson go, and that's the number 1 pick. And he had spurts where he played well, and then he didn't play well as the rest of the line kind of faltered. But they didn't do anything. And then they've lost players in the defensive front. They lost the blitz linebacker Olway. So I just don't understand it. And most of the guys he's brought in, if they're role players at best, they're role players. They're not difference makers. He needed difference makers to protect that gold arm quarterback. So I'm really surprised because he's so good at talent evaluating in the draft. Why is he not moving on street free agents that could be immediate impact? Am I right or am I right?
Well, you're partly right. I mean, I think that there's a better opportunity for talent in the draft and in the trade market than there is in the free agent market. But it does make you wonder, what's their plan for that O-line? I mean, they need more bodies. I mean, is this a big year in the draft for the offensive line? Are there certain offensive linemen that, I don't know if the Chargers will be high enough to get the number 1 O-lineman?
No, they're 22nd.
Yeah.
22nd and 49th, I think.
So who do they think is going to land in their lap at 22nd and 49?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a big question. Especially when there were marquee guys available.
Well, who do you think they should have signed? Who was
Well, I would not have let Zion Johnson walk out the door.
Do you want what's his name, Linderbaum?
No, because the price he got, $31 million, that's beyond reason. What the Raiders did was ridiculous. They gave a center left tackle gold money. You never ever do that.
Well, they did.
But there was an offensive tackle out of Green Bay. There was a couple of guards. I think there were 3 interior offensive linemen. I thought they should have gotten one of them. And they got one of them, plus brought Zion Johnson back. And then you made the deal, get the Washington Commanders center, Biazes. Then you're okay. But you haven't done anything. They still got holes.
By the way, I was looking at your notes here where you keep track of all the teams.
Yes.
And Denver and Seattle are both empty. They haven't signed anybody.
Denver has done nothing. And Seattle's just lost players along the way.
Crazy.
I don't understand what Sean Payton's lack of motivation is, because they need help at wide receiver. And virtually everybody's off the board. I think of the top 100 players in free agency, I think 96 have signed so far in the first week. So I can't rationalize what Denver's doing unless they think they're going to score big in the draft. It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's talk some more NFL. This is with Raider Nation Pawns. Hey, I'm pretty sure every NFL player has, quote, future arthritis, cartilage risk. My God, the Ravens got crushed in the media for what they did initially, so they backed out. Easy to figure out. Don't try to pull the wool over our eyes. Embarrassing.
Well, at the end of the day, they don't get Max Crosby, but they turn around and they get the pass rusher out of Cincinnati, but he's a really different player. Now, they got him for less than they would have paid Max Crosby, and they still kept their 2 number ones. The big storyline, though, in Baltimore, nobody's talked about this. They ran off John Harbaugh. They've lost 10 free agents. They got holes in a lot of different places in their roster at this point. And then they lost Linderbaum, the stud offensive center. So, boy, oh boy, Baltimore's not going to be the same franchise right now. Okay, we hope you have enjoyed our Monday bonus podcast. We're here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Make sure you tell all your friends. Just put a message in their inbox. Hacksaw's back. He's on YouTube. You got to watch this. We thank you for being part of our podcast. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the follow button. Give us that 5-star rating. It helps us a great deal. And, of course, we'll be back here Thursday at 1:30. Podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers. Lots of locations to serve you. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, go to Dixieline.com. Just check out the tools section at Dixieline.com. John, great podcast per the norm. We'll see you come Thursday.
Yeah. Team USA Tuesday night.
Championship game. WBC, move that sucker to July, would you?
I agree.
Thank you for being with us. Hope you enjoyed Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast apps. For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.